Well, hello and welcome everyone for another episode of the Shankar podcast. For those of you who see this on video, we are doing something crazy, walking in the dark and using an LED light to be blind.
What is this? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we are absolutely crazy indeed.
Well, as you know, this podcast is all about entrepreneurship and the amazing path that I am walking with my dear Antréa. And really what I want to achieve here with this podcast is to inspire you to also grow, whether that is in an entrepreneurial fashion or maybe just step it up at home. Whatever you do, you are a leader over your own life. You are a leader over your family. And I want you to believe that you can achieve more. Now, let me move on to the next topic here on my list, and that is Bali, which really is a topic that you can participate more in, Antréa, because it impacts you so much. Bali is obviously across the planet. It's in Indonesia. I've never been to Indonesia. And I'm going to go there in December because I want to be in the same room as giant in the influencer space, giants. There's a mentor that Antréa and I have, John Lee, that has organized this conference, and there's going to be huge investors there, apparently investors that have participated in SpaceX and in Kraken. And I will say that in a sense, it's just an amazing opportunity to be in the same room as these amazing giant influencers. And we wanted to go together, you and I, until we realized, dang, that's 13-hour time zone difference. And the way we lead our company right now is that we're not yet ready to say, okay, both of us who are leaders, who have a team that really looks to them to function, both of us are out of the working time zone that covers the normal office hours of our company. We're just not there yet. So we had to make a very tough decision. We had one person, and that was you, Antréa, because you are very selfless and very mature in this case, and said, okay, you need to be there right now, even though I really want to be going with you, but I need to be here. My place is here right now. And I want to really publicly thank you for that wisdom that you have, and let you react to that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think a really good example of why it's important to have one of us here is about, can be kind of summed up in looking at what has happened with one of our emergency service clients.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to go into it, but let's just say we provide IT support for very, very critical services that impact literally human lives. And this is not an exaggeration. If computer systems that we support don't run, people don't receive life-saving support. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
So the last time this happened, when Shankar was in Amsterdam, I was pulled in to help it wasn't the last time this happened, but when there was a situation that required attention, I got pulled in and I was kind of working the back end, if you will. Imagine me as the mouse or the keyboard, and Shankar was like the brain. So He told me everything that I needed to do to get something up and functioning. And that can only happen if you have someone on the other side who can do that. So if it ever came down to it, and let's say it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in Bali, and there was an emergency that had happened, God forbid, excuse me, mind you, it's 13 hours apart, so this is quite possible. Then I would call Shankar, and I would be able to reach him. And then we would solve whatever the problem is. But if two of us are gone, and neither of us can be reached, then the dynamic changes, because it could be a whole 7 hours before some critical situation is taken care of, where only one of us would be able to support.
Yeah, and I just realized that this means that I cannot have my phone on Do Not Disturb. You need to be able to reach me.
You can have it on Do Not Disturb. We have techniques to be able to contact each other beyond that. But it needs to be me. That's what I'm saying. Because then it's understood that this is not like, oh, I can't get my printer to work.
Right.
Not that that's not important, but is it wake somebody up in the middle of the night important? No. So I'll be able to triage the requests along with our TPM, our technical project manager.
Right. And
then we'll be able to decide if it's worth waking poor Shankar up in the middle of the night. And hopefully, you know, the last time he was gone, there was no crazy thing that happened, but you know how it goes, right? Everything is going great, and then it's not. Or nothing is going great, and you're here. It's always like that. It's like the opposite of what you think will happen happens. So he went over thinking that everything in the world was going to happen, and nothing happened. But who wants to take chances? There's a lot. Literally, life and death can hang in the balance of some of the things that we do. So
yeah, absolutely. And
it's not as easy as it looks, is it?
It is not as easy as it looks. And let me remind everyone that where I'm going in Bali, I will be truly with the top 1% of the world. This mentor, John Lee, he is someone who is incredibly skilled at reaching people online and scaling. I mean, this is a person who walks the talk, who gives you proof in a moment. Like, anyone can say, I can organize a conference and fill it up no matter where on the planet. But to see that happening in real time, and to have, like, this week, it was, one conference was in Amsterdam, and weirdly enough, my mom went and met up with his personal assistant. But I think that is a story for a separate podcast. But this is a billionaire, and he teaches me the way. He teaches us the way, I should say, because Antréa is also being mentored by him. If you want to have me summarize what I'm learning and transfer that over to you, you can join shanks.club, SHANKX.club, for only $7 a month. And you will be exposed to the wisdom that I find there. I probably will give you exclusive content from Bali that I do not plan to distribute anywhere else. There is something to be said about being a power couple together, leading a company together, and being thrusted into these situations where you have to make these tough choices. And Antréa, I don't know if you have any more thoughts about that before I go into my next topic of this podcast, which will be, you can't just do it for only the money.
Go ahead.
So I had a conversation with a business acquaintance not too long ago, and he said I don't really enjoy what I'm doing. He is well off, his company's running. He is literally part of the top 5% of society. Because if you are an entrepreneur and you have reached a certain level of revenue and you provide income for others, automatically you are in the top 10% right there. And yet, running a business, being in business is so tough on so many levels. It is tough on your nerves, tough on your emotions, on your relationship. You have to make so many sacrifices. And when it really gets very difficult and demanding, there is a risk, I should say, that you think about giving up. And this is happening with this friend right now. Even though he is in a position where he has assets and situations that so many others would only dream of, he is thinking about giving up because, in my personal opinion, he doesn't really like what he's doing. And that is a conversation that many people have opposing views on. They say, stop talking about passion. It's not about passion. It's about what works and what needs to be done in the moment. And that is true to the degree where any business has, especially at the beginning when you can't pay employees to do it, any business has elements that are just chores or things you don't like to do. But if the most income-producing activity that you are responsible for is something you don't enjoy, well then good luck. I don't think you should do that. I think you should tap into what is a passion and what also at the same time meets a demand on the market and also where you have skill in that. And if you don't, this is, for example, something, finding that is not easy. But this is something that within Shanks.club, we will have a work session about just that topic. And that's why it's very valuable and helps so many people. Antréa, do you have any thoughts around that debate?
How long do you think it takes to find out that you don't like what you're doing?
How long does it take? I think you gotta get to a moment in your business where you have a few weeks where you have 12-hour days to make it happen. And that happens to you in business. I promise you it happens to you. So it might not just be only your business, but you might be a mom or a dad, or you have a side gig, or your business is your side gig and you have a job, and you just need to meet deadlines. And it just puts you in a situation where over the course of a few weeks, you have to basically live for your work. And you gotta be in that situation to find out whether you really have passion or not. For example, I can give an example for myself. I love content creation and solving problems and helping people get visibility and making sure that companies run optimally in their IT department. I have so much passion for that no matter how exhausted I am, I wake up 5 a.m., I get up because some part of me just cannot wait to get started to work on that. The other part is cursing. Shit, I'm tired and I want to sleep. I need to sleep. My eyes hurt. My head hurts. But that part of me is like a flame that just cannot be extinguished. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how long?
Well, as long as it takes for you to have to be in at least 2 to 3 weeks back to back where you have these 12-hour days.
And what is the recommendation for getting out of that position?
That is delegation, that is optimization of internal work processes, that is getting very clear on how you price yourself and what customers you accept to work with. that would fill hours and hours and hours of Shankar Club conversations. These are all good topics, but really, I will say, I think most of you, if they truly look inward, they will have a pretty good idea whether something is passion or not. But I think what most of you will do is you will be very tempted by money, and you will let a lot of money make yourself tell a lie that, hey, I am passionate about this. Whereas in reality, you're not. You're just passionate about the income potential that this might bring. But what you don't understand, or what you might not know, is that you're going to be so busy that at times you can't even enjoy your money. That is going to happen. You have income. I mean, we are in that situation sometimes. We have so much income coming in, and you just don't have the time to spend it.
Well, I think that our walk is complete, and I don't know if you have any other thoughts. But
I will say, if you enjoyed this podcast, please give me a review, because that helps expose it to others. And also, if you have questions, definitely reach out. You find me online everywhere. Just type in my name, Shankar. And I'll also let people know that they can kind of expect a podcast from Antréa very soon. She is working on that, and then you get the female perspective of Shanks.
That's right.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your very precious time. I know that I have listeners literally all over the world. A lot of you are in Luxembourg. I see with the analytics that some of you are in France, and of course, most of you are in the United States. There's a few people from Canada. But how awesome would it be to have listeners really in all the English-speaking countries of the world? I hope that can happen, because truly the podcast is actually, the tagline is the entrepreneur's journey. And anyone who has entrepreneurial inspirations, aspirations, can benefit from it. And I hope that by just being very honest with you and letting you in on strategies that I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for, just by being a listener of this podcast, I hope that is something you enjoy, and it gives me great joy. It's part of my legacy that I will leave for this beautiful planet.
Love it.
All right, bye-bye for now. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Antréa, for being my selfie stick holder today, and my interviewer, and my love in my life, and my partner in business.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.